Do you ever feel really, really nervous before you do something new? Like to a degree that feels disproportionate to what you're facing? Maybe you're about to give a presentation or have coffee with a new friend, and you feel so nervous, so scared. Chances are pretty good that your answer to that question is yes, because this is actually a really, really common experience. And the reason that it's so common is because most of us have this common type of injury to our sense of self-worth that was created in our early lives. I'm going to share with you what this is, why it happens, and how we can work through this severe nervousness when it comes up. My name is Ashley, and here on Live at Your Edge, I talk about how we relate to our inner experiences and how we can build the skills and self-knowledge that we need to expand into the next greatest version of ourselves. This experience of feeling extremely nervous just happened to me the other day. I was going to this community group that I had just joined, and on this particular occasion, I happened to be one of the only people in the room who had any formal training in the topic that was going to be covered that night. And I was feeling so much internal pressure from the possible expectations that others might have for me. And so before the meeting, I was feeling so incredibly nervous. I was jittery, my heart was racing, my blood sugar was unstable. I just felt really, really scared about not meeting expectations. And so all of this peaked for me as I was actually getting in the car, driving to the meeting. And this is when I finally stopped and asked myself, Ashley, why are you so scared? This is when I realized that it was because I was so afraid that I wouldn't be good enough. Not feeling good enough is a really common pattern that most of us have, and it comes from wounds to our sense of self-worth in our early life. When we're children, we depend on our caregivers for our survival. And because our parents' love is ultimately what causes them to care for us, as children, it's hardwired into us that love equals safety. And so when love and attention and nurturing feel like they are inconsistent to us when we're children, such as if we only feel loved when we behave a certain way, or if our parents withdraw their affection and nurturing from us when we behave in a way that they don't like, the message that we internalize from that experience is that we are only conditionally lovable. We're only lovable if certain conditions are met. And this is how our early life experiences can create self-worth wounds. These are deep, often unconscious beliefs that we are not unconditionally lovable. Like we have to prove to the world our worthiness or that we're good enough. And since we've all been hardwired that love and belonging equals safety, any situation that feels like it threatens our sense of self-worth or might prove that we aren't good enough makes us feel unsafe and activates our sympathetic nervous system, which creates anxiety, nervousness, and fear. So what can we actually do about it? We can retrain these unconscious beliefs in a few ways. I'm going to talk about awareness, validation, and unconditional love. So the first piece is awareness. The first place that we can start is by noticing this pattern when it comes up. When this happened to me the other day, the moment in the car when I paused and realized that this is what was happening is arguably the most important thing that I did, because suddenly I realized what was actually at the root of my fear. So pausing when we feel this way to ask ourselves questions. Why am I feeling this way now? What's really underneath my feelings? Why am I feeling so scared? The second piece is validation. This means reminding ourselves, it makes sense for me to feel this way. Of course, this is hard for me. What we often end up doing is telling ourselves to calm down or get it together. Why are you feeling like this? Often what we're doing is actually invalidating our experience. But now that we understand why we have this not good enough pattern, we know that there is a good reason for it. And so it's important for us to validate for ourselves that this is a normal and understandable response. The third piece is a really, really powerful step. And this is building our capacity for unconditional love. So the way that we do this is actually really simple. It may not feel easy at first, but it does get easier with practice. What we're doing is bringing the intention to bring as much love as we possibly can in that moment to the part of ourselves that feels scared. When we send love to ourselves in moments when we're really struggling with something, especially something that we have shame or fear about, we are gradually welcoming these parts that we have essentially rejected back into ourselves, back into the parts of ourselves that we love and accept. Almost all of us have these parts that we've rejected in our earlier life, that we learned were not as lovable and that we had to push away in order to feel safe when we were children. When we are fragmented in that way, where we have some parts that we believe are lovable and other parts that we believe aren't, as you can imagine, this makes true, full self-love basically impossible. In order to love ourselves fully as we are, we have to bring back the pieces that we've discarded, the pieces that we aren't comfortable with. And this is hard, okay? Don't fall for people saying things like, oh, you just have to love yourself better. Just love yourself, and making it sound like it is so easy. It's not. It takes gradual progress. The way that we start is just by sitting with ourselves. When our fears or shame or other negative emotions come up about what we're experiencing, we're practicing being present to what we're going through in these tough moments. And that alone, just sitting patiently with what's coming up, is a huge step. And each time we do it, we can send a little bit more love, a little bit more warmth, a little bit more gentleness. I have found that touching my body, my heart space, my belly, maybe my arms, in a comforting, gentle way is extremely powerful in these moments. This signals the nervous system that we are safe and loved. Even if you feel like you don't know how to send love to yourself in these tough moments, kind, gentle touch will send the signal for you. And over time, what this does is it slowly brings more and more parts of ourselves out of the shadow and back into our hearts, where it's welcomed and accepted. Gradually, our capacity for unconditional self-love grows and grows. So when I did this practice the other day in the car, my fear went from a 7 out of 10 down to like a 2 or 3 out of 10. By the time I got out of the car, I felt so much calmer. It is unbelievable how powerful this simple practice is. Just noticing the pattern when it comes up, validating our experience, putting our hand on our heart, being gentle, welcoming our experience. This is one of the most powerful tools that we can have in our toolkit because it lets us move through our fears so much more easily. These fears of not being good enough can come up a lot in our lives. Anytime that we try something new, that we do something outside of our comfort zone, oftentimes these fears will come up. And these experiences are exactly the kinds of things that we do to grow, to become more, right? And so these things are good for us. And so having this 3-part practice in our toolkit can be such a huge game changer for how easily we move through this fear when it comes up. If you want to hear more from me about these topics, you can check out one of these videos here. In the meantime, I'm sending you so much love and wishing you a beautiful week ahead. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time.